Now, no one in their senses would strike a match in a gunpowder factory. No one would play Russian roulette with all 6 chambers of a revolver fully loaded. And yet we allow people with hereditary patterns of undesirable gene mutations to reproduce. We allow it because we cannot stop it. In my view, society has the right, indeed the duty, to take any steps to reduce the incidence of mental subnormality.
Dr. Paul Richards, well-known and controversial expert on mental deficiency, is defendant today in Fulchester Crown Court. He's the defendant in the case of Abbs against Richards and the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee.
My Lord, I represent the plaintiff in this action, Sarah Abbs. The first defendant is Dr. Paul Anthony Richards, and the second defendant, the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee. The defendants are both represented by my learned friend, Mr. Charles Lotterby.
Has the jury been sworn?
They have, my Lord.
Then before you open your case, Mr. Dealey, I think perhaps I will have a word with them. Now, members of the jury, as you are aware, it is unusual for a jury to be impaneled in a civil action. In this case, however, the issues which you will have to decide will almost certainly involve the professional standing and reputation of Dr. Paul Richards. Now, this case, as some of you may know, has already attracted considerable attention. And in these circumstances, it was thought wise and proper that the issue of fact in this case should be decided by a jury. Very well, Mr. Dealey.
I'm most grateful for your explanation, my Lord. Members of the jury, the facts of this case are simple and are not in doubt. The plaintiff, Sarah Abbs, now aged 20, was some 7 years ago placed in Bosdale Hospital, an institution for the mentally subnormal, by her mother. While in Bosdale Hospital, Miss Abbs went out to work as a daily domestic. She formed an attachment for Michael Penny, a childhood friend who had worked locally. Last year, when she was 19, Miss Abbs became pregnant as a result of this association, whereupon Dr. Richards, the superintendent of Bosdale Hospital, performed a clinical abortion. As a result of this operation, Miss Abbs is today demanding damages for assault and battery against Dr. Richards and the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee. The plaintiff alleges that Dr. Richards performed the abortion without her consent. Further, she alleges that even in the event of the court deciding that Dr. Richards did have consent for the operation, that consent was invalid because the operation was not, in the end, for her benefit or for that of the child. My Lord, the first witness for the plaintiff is Mr. Michael Penny. You are Michael Penny of Brick Cottage, Badgersfield?
Yes, sir.
How old are you, Mr. Penny?
23, sir.
And what is your occupation?
I work for Mr. Rudge of Badgerfield Farms. I'm a tractor driver and mechanic.
And how long have you known Sarah Abbs?
Ever since I can remember. She used to live at Badgerfield Cottages with her mother.
You've known her all your life, then?
Well, yes, sir.
What are your feelings towards Sarah?
Feelings? Well, I want to marry her, sir.
Penny, are you aware that Sarah Abbs is classified as subnormal?
Oh, yes, my lord. But she's no more subnormal than you or I.
Are you saying, Mr. Penny, that Sarah Abbs was wrongly classified as subnormal?
Oh, no, my lord. I mean, well, I don't know. All I do know is, well, Sarah may seem a bit simple. She's sweet, kind, gentle, affectionate. She's a really nice person, my lord. Doesn't that count?
Mm-hmm. Very well, proceed, Mr. Dealey.
Mr. Penny, is it true that in November last you were charged before Badgersfield magistrates with having unlawful intercourse with someone of a known mental disability?
I made love to Sarah Abbs. That's what you mean.
Yes.
We're in love.
That's what I did mean, Mr. Penny.
But the magistrates didn't give me any sentence.
My lord, because of the circumstances of the case, the magistrates postponed sentence as they are permitted to do under the Criminal Justice Act of 1972.
I am aware of the law, Mr. Dealey.
I was merely trying to make the situation clear to the jury, my lord.
Which you have done.
Well, Mr. Penny, you and Miss Abbs were lovers, were you not? And Miss Abbs subsequently became pregnant.
Yes, sir. But I wanted to marry her.
You asked permission?
Well, yes, sir.
Of whom?
Well, of Sarah herself, of course. And of Dr. Richards, the superintendent at the hospital.
That's the first defendant.
Yes, sir.
And of who else?
Mrs. Havelock.
The plaintiff's mother.
Yes, sir.
And what was Mrs. Havelock's reply?
Well, at first she said it was all right. And then later on she said she'd have to speak to Dr. Richards about it.
Did she do so?
Yes, sir. She said Dr. Richards was against Sarah marrying.
And Mrs. Havelock changed her mind about giving her consent.
Yes, sir.
And that was after she had spoken to Dr. Richards.
Oh, yes, sir.
When was Sarah put into Bosdale?
When she was about 12.
And you visited her there while she was in hospital, did you?
Oh, sometimes. But I used to see her around quite a bit. She used to work in the hospital gardens. She's got a proper green thumb, Sarah has. And then the hospital found her a job.
What kind of job?
Oh, domestic type it was. During the day, she'd work for a family near one of Mr. Rudge's farms, and in the evening, she came back to the hospital. I used to give her a lift back on my motorbike.
So you saw her practically every day?
Well, yes, sir. Every day for the past 3 or 4 years.
Thank you, Mr. Penny.
Mr. Penny, you said Sarah was put into Bosdale Hospital when she was 12.
Yes, that's right.
Do you know the circumstances?
Well, her mother, she got married again. And her new husband, he got a job down in Northampton. And he didn't want to take Sarah with him. So they put her into Bosdale Hospital.
Mr. Penny, you must confine your evidence to things you know of at first hand. Were you present when Mr. and Mrs. Havelock were debating what they should do about Sarah?
No, my lord.
Then I'm afraid that answer of yours was not admissible.
Mr. Penny, in your evidence to my learned friend, you described Sarah Abbs as simple. What did you mean by this?
Well, that she's... Well, I suppose you could say unworldly.
My lord, in due course we'll hear evidence to the effect that Sarah Abbs has an IQ of 49. Now, Mr. Penny, it would seem that she is rather more than unworldly.
Well, I'm used to her.
Oh, that's not what I asked, Mr. Penny. You described Sarah as unworldly, simple. Now, don't you really mean feeble-minded?
No, sir. Well, all right, supposing she is. She's still a nice person.
Well, that's not in dispute, Mr. Penny. But, for example, is Sarah good with money?
She's very honest with money.
Or could she handle the budgeting for a family?
I think so.
Is that what Dr. Richards told you when you asked him to consent to your marriage? Oh, come now, Mr. Penny, what did Dr. Richards tell you?
He said she couldn't cope. But she wouldn't have to. I mean, I could look after all that stuff.
But you're at work all day. And what about a family? Did Dr. Richards say that Sarah could cope with children?
Well, that's just his idea. I mean,
Please answer the question, Mr. Penny.
Dr. Richards said she couldn't run a family.
Isn't it a fact that he advised you both against the whole idea of marriage?
Yes. But everyone knows what Dr. Richards thinks should happen to defectives.
Mr. Penny, I'm sure you can leave it to counsel to explore Dr. Richards' views when it is his turn to be cross-examined.
Yes, my lord.
Mr. Penny, where did you first make love to Sarah?
That's none of your business.
My lord, is that question relevant?
Mr. Lotterby?
I think so, my lord. I think my subsequent questions will show that it is.
Very well. The witness will answer the question.
What, do I have to, my lord?
I'm afraid you do, Mr. Penny.
Sarah and I made love first in a wood, near where she worked.
Did you always go there?
No, not always.
When you made love to Sarah, did you take precautions?
My lord, do I have to answer this? It's personal.
I realise this must be very painful to you, Mr. Penny, but I think counsel's question is relevant.
We took precautions.
We? You mean you or Sarah?
Well, I did.
Oh, what about Sarah?
Well, I think it's a man's duty to do that sort of thing.
Or was it because you knew that Sarah was incapable of using birth control devices?
No.
Well, one of you must have slipped up, mustn't you, because Sarah got pregnant. Did Sarah become pregnant before or after you saw Dr. Richards about marrying her?
I'm not sure.
It was after, was it not, Mr. Penny? It was after Dr. Richards said no that Sarah became pregnant.
Well, it may have been.
Was the pregnancy deliberate?
No.
By making Sarah pregnant, isn't it true that you hoped to force Dr. Richards and Mrs. Havelock into giving their consent to your marriage?
No, I'd never use Sarah like that.
Well, what about Sarah?
Well, she wouldn't. I mean, she's not like that. Well, how could she? I thought you said she's supposed to have an IQ of 49.
Well, Mr. Penny, my information is that deceitfulness is not the prerogative of those with normal intelligence. However, that is something the jury will be able to decide for themselves when Sarah Abbs takes the stand. Now, Mr. Penny, you used a curious phrase regarding Sarah. You said you were used to her.
Yeah?
What did you mean by that?
Oh, well, just that I've known her a long time, that's all.
Yet surely your phrase suggests that there are things about Sarah, things that other people, those unused to her, might find unacceptable.
That's not what I meant.
You're in love with Sarah, are you not?
Yes,
You want to marry her.
yes.
Isn't it possible, Mr. Penny, that out of a deep and, I've no doubt, genuine affection, you are crediting this poor, feeble-minded creature with intelligence and quality?
Sarah isn't a creature. She's a human being like you or me.
I stand corrected, Mr. Penny. But let us be honest about this. Sarah Abbs, however kind and gentle she may be, she's not a normal person, is she? Now, Mr. Penny, you said that you still wish to marry Sarah. Is it mutual?
I don't know what you mean.
Or does Sarah still wish to marry you?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Have you asked her lately?
No.
No further questions?
Mr. Penny, when you first asked permission to marry Sarah, did you see Dr. Richards personally?
Yes, sir.
Now, what exactly did he say? Can you remember his precise words?
He said he couldn't possibly advise marriage. He said it wouldn't be fair on Sarah. Oh, and he said any children reproduced might be monsters.
Monsters. Are you sure he used that word?
Oh, yes, my lord. He showed me some photographs.
Photographs of what?
Freaks. Children with huge heads and kids with tiny little heads. Things like that, freaks.
And did Dr. Richards suggest that you and Sarah might produce such offspring?
Yes, sir.
Did you believe him?
Well, no, sir.
Why not?
Well, I just couldn't see how someone as sweet and nice as Sarah could produce children like that.
Yet such children are produced, Mr. Penny.
Yeah, I know, but I thought Dr. Richards was just trying to scare me off.
Were you scared off?
No.
It has been suggested that Sarah's pregnancy was a deliberate attempt to force Dr. Richards to give his consent to the marriage.
Well, that just isn't true. Sarah and I will marry without anyone's consent just as soon as she's 21. Now, I found that out from a lawyer.
But not from Dr. Richards.
No, sir.
When Dr. Richards performed this abortion, did he consult with you in any way? Did he discuss the matter with you?
No, sir.
Yet he knew that you were the father of Sarah's child.
Well, I've never made any secret about it.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. No further questions, my lord.
You may step down.
My next witness, my lord, is Mrs. Havelock, the plaintiff's mother.
That's all right, sir. It's all right.
Miss Abbs, are you unwell?
It's all right. Michael and I are here. She's just a bit frightened, my lord. She'll be all right.
You are Josephine Havelock of 21 Anson Terrace, Corby, Northamptonshire.
I am.
And you are the mother of Sarah Abbs.
Yes, sir.
Now, when did you first become aware that Sarah was unlike other children?
When she was about 3.
And you didn't send her to a special school, you kept her at home beside you all the time.
Yes.
And when did you first send Sarah to Bosdale Hospital?
Oh, when she was 13, 7 years ago.
Why did you wait so long?
Well, while she was young and her father, my first husband, was alive, I could cope. But when Sydney died, she'd just become too much for me.
Sarah's arrival at Bosdale also coincided with your second marriage, did it not?
Yes.
A moment, please, Mr. Dealey. Mrs. Havelock, could you be more precise about this?
But what, my lord?
When exactly was your daughter taken into Bosdale Hospital? Was it before or after your second marriage?
Oh, before.
How much before?
6 months, I suppose?
6 months before you remarried.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you can't blame me. I mean, marriage is difficult enough at the best of times. But when you've got a child like Sarah...
I'm sure the jury understand, Mrs. Havelock. You're not on trial here.
No, I know. It's just that I feel all the time, you know, that... Well, it hasn't been easy with Sarah, that's all.
Well, that's why you put her into Bosdale Hospital, is it not?
Yes. It's not fair, really, to ask a man to take on someone else's child, especially when they're like... I'm not saying that Frank hasn't been a good husband. I mean, he has. He'd do anything for me. He's got a nice house.
This is a most important point. When you put Sarah into Bosdale Hospital, did you waive your rights as her legal and rightful guardian?
No, I signed some forms or other, but I don't remember that I was still her guardian. I still am. I'm a mother, after all.
Yes, indeed, Mrs. Havelock.
My lord, the question of guardianship of Sarah Abbs is very much at issue here.
Then raise it during your cross-examination of this witness.
As your lordship pleases.
Mrs. Havelock, did Dr. Richards raise the issue of Sarah's guardianship?
Yes, but that was when she wanted to marry Michael.
But the question never arose until then.
No.
Mr. Penny has said that when he first discussed marrying Sarah with you, you agreed.
Well, I don't know about agreeing. Didn't seem to be no harm in it, but Frank, my present husband, he said I ought to speak to Dr. Richards first.
And what did Dr. Richards say when you raised the question of marriage?
Oh, he was angry.
Angry, Mrs. Havelock?
Well, more like...
At any rate, he was not in favour.
Oh, he wasn't, no.
Can you recall what Dr. Richards said?
Well, he said that marriage wasn't for Sarah.
Those were his exact words.
Yes.
And what do you think he meant by saying that marriage was not for Sarah?
Well, that she couldn't marry.
Ever?
Yes.
Well, didn't you find that a very sweeping statement, Mrs. Havelock?
Oh, he was the doctor.
But you're not aware that Dr. Richards held rather, well, extreme views about the care and treatment of the mentally subnormal.
No.
What, you've never seen him on television?
No, we never watched BBC Two.
You've never read of any of Dr. Richards' articles?
No.
So it's true to say, is it not, Mrs. Havelock, that you refused consent for your daughter's marriage purely on what Dr. Richards had said?
Yes.
Do you know Michael Penny?
Oh, yes.
Did you or do you have any objections to him as a son-in-law?
No, he's very nice. He's sensible. I've got nothing against Michael.
When Sarah became pregnant, did Michael ask you again for consent to marry your daughter?
Yes.
And were you in favour of the marriage?
Well, under the circumstances, yes.
And did you consult with Dr. Richards again?
Yes, I did.
And what was his reaction this time?
Well, he said not to worry. Just leave everything to him, it'd be all right.
Did he ask you to sign any form or paper?
Yes, he did.
And did you do so?
Yes.
Now, what was it that you signed?
Well, I don't know.
Well, didn't you read the document?
No.
Well, did Dr. Richards explain the contents of the document to you?
No.
You're quite sure, Mrs. Havelock?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I don't read all that well. And he just said, sign it, it'll be all right, leave it to him.
So you were not aware that you had given permission for Dr. Richards to perform an abortion on Sarah?
No. Well, as a matter of fact, my husband had arranged this holiday for us in Benidorm. We was about to leave in 2 or 3 days. I knew he'd never forgive me if I didn't get everything settled right away. And, well, he was the doctor after all. I thought he knew.
So it's true to say that you were completely unaware that Dr. Richards had any intention of performing an abortion on Sarah?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Havelock.
Mrs. Havelock, you say you don't read well.
That's right.
Yet you managed to read the oath printed on the card that the clerk of the court gave you.
Oh, that's not hard. Besides, everyone knows what it says.
How do they, Mrs. Havelock?
From the telly, my lord.
Indeed.
May the witness see Exhibit 1, my lord. Is this the document which you told us Dr. Richards asked you to sign?
Yes, it looks like it.
Mrs. Havelock, you say you didn't read this document.
No.
Then how did you know where to sign it?
Well, signed on the dotted line.
Which dotted line? The one for the date, the name and address, or the one for your relationship with the patient?
Well, I didn't say I couldn't read at all. It's just that some words I find difficult.
No, but not this time. At least not when it came to signing your name.
No.
Your dyslexia just affected
My what?
your difficulty in reading. It just affected the rest of the document, the sense of what you were signing. Mrs. Havelock, what are your feelings towards your daughter?
Feelings?
Do you love her?
Well, of course I do.
Why, of course. Not all mothers love their children, or vice versa.
Well, I do.
Yet you put her in Bosdale Hospital. You locked her away.
No, I didn't. She'd just become too much for me.
Oh, in what way?
Well, you had to keep your eye on her the whole time. I mean, if she was to wander off, anything could have happened to her.
She couldn't look after herself.
Well, not really, no. Not then.
Yeah, this is the young woman you are asking us to feel should marry, have children.
She's a lot better now.
When she was in Bosdale Hospital, she was, as you know, classified as subnormal with an IQ of 49.
Yes, but that's no reason why she shouldn't have the chance of a normal life.
But even if she's incapable of making a normal life for herself?
My lord, Mrs. Havelock is not an expert on mental subnormality, nor does she claim to be one. I submit that my learned friend is attempting to put words into the witness's mouth.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree, Mr. Dealey. I think that this line of questioning would be best put to the experts.
As your lordship pleases. Mrs. Havelock, how often did you see your daughter while she was in Bosdale Hospital?
Oh, quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Once a week, once a month, once a year?
Well, saw her whenever I could.
How often was that?
Well, I can't remember exactly.
Bosdale is near Badgersfield, is it not? Some 20 miles out of Fulchester. It's about 100, 150 miles from your home in Corby.
Yeah.
You're asking the court to believe that you made this trip frequently?
I didn't see her every week.
During her 7 years in Bosdale, did you see her at all?
Yes, this year I've seen her 3 times.
What about last year?
Twice.
Did you ever take your daughter Sarah to your new home in Corby?
No.
Why not?
She gets car sick. She doesn't travel well.
Is that the only reason?
Well, I don't know what you mean.
Oh, isn't it true, Mrs. Havelock, that you're ashamed of Sarah?
No, I'm in the court with her now, aren't I?
You've never taken her to your new home.
Well,
Where your friends and your husband's friends might meet her. And Mrs. Havelock, you say you love your daughter.
I do.
Yet you're prepared to subject her to the agony of this trial. For what purpose?
To get damages for what that man did to her.
Are you financing this case?
What?
My lord.
Isn't it true, Mrs. Havelock, that a national newspaper is financing your daughter's case merely for the purpose of producing a journalistic sensation?
My lord, I must protest.
I withdraw that question, my lord.
It was a most improper question.
I apologize, my lord. May I proceed?
Very well.
Mrs. Havelock, when your daughter is 21, she will be able to marry Michael Penny, will she not?
Yes.
And do you think she's equipped for such a marriage?
Yes.
But how can you know, Mrs. Havelock, since on your own admittance you have only seen her 5 times in the last 2 years? Do you think you are in a position to judge?
Yes, I'm a mother, aren't I?
Your relationship to the plaintiff is not in question, Mrs. Havelock, but your judgment is. Now, Dr. Richards has had responsibility for your daughter for 7 years, has he not?
Yes.
Now, isn't it true, Mrs. Havelock, that your primary concern in all of this is that someone else should have the responsibility for your daughter?
No.
Someone other than yourself?
No.
But if she was to marry Michael Penny, then she becomes his responsibility, does she not? No further questions.
Mrs. Havelock, when your daughter was taken into Bosdale Hospital, was she certified?
No.
Was she taken in under the directive of any court?
No.
So she was taken in informally then?
Yeah.
Did you at any time knowingly sign a formal transfer of guardianship, transferring your rights and authority over your daughter to Dr. Richards or the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee?
No.
Did you knowingly sign any document giving Dr. Richards or the Bosdale Hospital Committee the right to perform an abortion on your daughter, Sarah?
No.
Thank you, Mrs. Havelock. I have no further questions, my lord.
Mrs. Havelock, you may step down.
My next witness, my lord, is Professor Esmond Seagrave. You are Professor Esmond Seagrave of Palling Place, Haygarth, Yorkshire.
I am.
And you are Professor of Psychiatric Medicine at Stonebridge University, Consultant Psychiatrist to the Fulchester Regional Hospital Board, and author of several books on mental subnormality.
Yes?
Professor, are you familiar with Dr. Richards' views of the care and treatment of the mentally subnormal?
Well, anyone who's read any of my recent articles will know that I'm slightly more than familiar with that gentleman's opinions.
How would you describe Dr. Richards' opinions on the treatment and care of people like Sarah Abbs?
In one word, abominable.
Abominable, Professor.
My lord, I have described Dr. Richards as the greatest exponent of pure Nazi medical ideology since Heinrich Himmler.
The case of Abbs against Richards will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.
Social incompetence plus low IQ tends to perpetuate and reproduce itself. Inadequate parents tend to produce inadequate children. Social inadequacy breeds social inadequacy. Our prisons and borstalls, for example, are populated not solely by hard and clever criminals, but also by pathetic social incompetents who frequently find they cannot exist outside such institutions. For every train robber in jail, there are 100 potential recidivists. Society must, therefore, consider the possibility of breaking into this vicious circle. The means are at hand. Compulsory sterilization for those below an IQ of 85 and of those who are at genetic risk. Governments of the future, indeed governments of the present, should consider the control of socially dangerous genetic traits.
Dr. Paul Richards, well-known and controversial expert on mental subnormality, is defendant today in Fulchester Crown Court. Sarah Abbs is suing Dr. Richards and the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee for assault and battery, in that he wrongfully and illegally performed an abortion on her while a patient in Bosdale Hospital.
Remember, you are still on oath.
My lord.
Now, yesterday, Professor Seagrave, you expressed yourself very forcibly about Dr. Richards' views on the treatment and care of the subnormal.
My lord, I feel very strongly about Dr. Richards' views.
Obviously, Professor, but for what reason?
The reason, my lord, is that I regard his views as not only wrong, but socially and morally dangerous.
Strong words, Professor.
With respect, my lord, they are no stronger than those I frequently used in the past in the pages of the number of the learned journals regarding the defendant's opinions.
My lord, the defendant's views are a matter of record, and I wish to put in evidence, therefore, photostats of 5 articles written by the defendant and a transcript of a tape recording of a radio talk that Dr. Richards gave on Radio 3 in March of 1973.
My lord, my client has instructed me to say that he's willing to stand by and, if need be, justify every word of any article, talk, or lecture given by him on the subject of mental subnormality. He has no objection to any of this being entered in evidence.
Well, Mr. Dealey, I think it would be more appropriate if you put the content of these articles to Dr. Richards when you cross-examine him.
Very well, my lord. Professor Seagrave, you have examined, have you not, the plaintiff Sarah Abbs prior to this case?
I have.
Professor, Sarah Abbs is said to be mentally subnormal, is she not?
Yes.
Well, firstly, Professor, what is the clinical definition of mental subnormality?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know, Professor?
No, my lord, for the very simple reason that there is no accepted clinical definition of mental subnormality, or mental deficiency, or mental handicap, or oligophrenia, or whatever you care to call it.
Then how do you recognize it?
Oh, its recognition isn't difficult, my lord. Its definition is. May I explain, my lord?
Please do, Professor.
Well, Treadgold, who was the author of one of the classic textbooks on the subject, considered that social incompetence, that is to say, behavior unacceptable to other people, was the sole criterion. Such behavior, he says, if it's caused by intellectual inadequacy and is essentially incurable, is a symptom of mental subnormality.
Yes, but surely that begs the question, Professor.
I agree, my lord, but I suspect the question may really be unanswerable.
Now, the legal definition of subnormality
Is, my lord, with respect, totally inadequate.
Indeed.
I think even Dr. Richards would support that view. It's based on the World Health Organization definitions of idiot and imbecile. In other words, it's based on a person's IQ.
Well, Professor, could you explain to the court what IQ is then, please?
Oh, yes, certainly. IQ. IQ stands for intelligence quotient. This is a measure derived from intelligence tests. The statistical average for such tests is a figure of 100. That is to say, 50% of the population should have IQs of between 90 and 110. Originally, an IQ was indeed an actual quotient, the mental age divided by the chronological or real age and multiplied by 100. Thus, a child of 8 who had the mental age of an average 12-year-old, you would say 12 over 8 multiplied by 100, answer 150. The child has an IQ of 150. Today, of course, statistical methods play a large part in arriving at any figure.
Thank you, Professor. You have examined Sarah Abbs?
Yes, I have.
And you have submitted her to various tests?
Yes.
Would you tell the court about them, please, Professor?
Well, I gave Sarah Abbs a variety of intelligence and aptitude tests. Now, the Wechsler test, for example. Oh, my lord, would you like me to explain the nature of these tests?
Just the results, please, Professor.
Yeah. Well, as a result of the tests that I performed on Sarah Abbs, I found she had an IQ of 52.
Dr. Richards arrived at the figure of 49.
Yes, but the difference is not significant. I mean, IQ tests on the same subject often show minute divergences, particularly if they're performed by different people. This is one of the reasons why an IQ rating is not an absolute figure. It's just a measurement of the subject's potential, and it provides a guide to the doctor.
Nonetheless, with an IQ of 52, Miss Abbs is, in your opinion, subnormal.
Oh, obviously.
Does this mean that, in your opinion, she is incapable of coping with marriage or a family?
Not at all. The patient's character and ability to learn are vital factors here.
And how did you find Miss Abbs?
In my opinion, she is stable, gentle, and eminently teachable.
Can you think of any reason why Sarah Abbs should not have married Michael Penny and should not have been permitted to have given birth to her child?
Well, that's a very big question. A lot would depend on circumstances, of course.
And what circumstances, Professor?
Well, whether the young couple were adequately housed, for instance.
Ah, but these are social circumstances, are they not, Professor? Are there, in your opinion, any medical circumstances preventing Sarah from marrying and living a more or less normal life?
No.
Thank you, Professor.
A moment, please. Professor, were you able to diagnose the cause of Miss Abbs' subnormality?
No, my lord.
Was this because there was insufficient time for diagnosis?
Partly, but principally because in so many cases, diagnosis of cause is almost impossible.
Is there no known cause for mental subnormality?
Oh, quite the contrary, my lord. Almost any disease, injury, or syndrome affecting the central nervous system in childhood can be a cause of subnormality.
Yes, this is very vague, Professor.
Well, it is the extent of our present knowledge, my lord.
Most unsatisfactory.
I agree, my lord.
Professor Seagrave, you said that you could see no objection to Sarah Abbs marrying and bringing up a family.
No, none. Provided she is supervised, of course.
Supervised? In what way?
Oh, merely that a social worker should keep an eye on her.
Regular visits from social workers.
Yes?
It can hardly be said to be leading a normal married life, can it, Professor?
I don't agree, sir. Well, the enormous advances in the social services, you'll be surprised at the number of perfectly normal people who receive regular visits from social workers, probation officers, etc.
How many times have you seen Sarah Abbs?
Half a dozen.
How long on each occasion?
Approximately an hour.
So it would be fair to say, would it not, that your knowledge of Sarah Abbs and her condition is derived from a total of, say, 6 to 7 hours observation?
Yes.
Dr. Richards has had Sarah Abbs in his care for 7 years.
Yet his sole contribution would appear to have been to perform a totally unnecessary abortion.
Professor.
I apologize, my lord. However, I was about to add that apart from my 6 sessions with Sarah Abbs, I have had the opportunity of studying the case notes on her for the past 7 years.
Yes, Dr. Richards' case notes. You are Professor of Psychiatric Medicine at Stonebridge University and a consultant psychiatrist, are you not?
Yes.
Now, one post is academic and the other consultative.
Yes?
Well, the fact is it not, that you do not have and cannot have a constant contact with individual patients, such as Dr. Richards has?
No, but on the other hand, I imagine I see a greater variety of mentally disabled than he does.
But you must see them relatively briefly.
That is true.
From when do your ideological differences with Dr. Richards date?
I think they first came to a head at an international conference on mental subnormality in Geneva, wasn't it? About 3 years ago. Yes, 1970.
Now, as I understand Dr. Richards, his view is that the mentally subnormal should not be allowed to reproduce.
That is correct.
In what way does your view differ from that of Dr. Richards?
I believe that the mentally subnormal should have all the legal rights of the so-called normal, and these include the right to say no to an abortion.
They should have free choice, even if they are incapable of exercising it.
In my opinion, yes.
When Sarah Abbs was first taken into Bosdale Hospital, would guardianship of the child remain with her parents?
Yes. Unless she was committed to hospital by court order, she'd have been accepted at Bosdale on an informal basis.
And she would have just become a patient there while retaining all her usual citizen's rights.
Yes.
She's therefore free to leave at any time.
Yes.
How do you interpret the fact that she is still resident at Bosdale Hospital?
Well, she's been there 7 years. Where else can she go?
Where indeed? Have you any evidence, Professor, of improper conduct by Dr. Richards? Well, have you or have you not?
No.
Have you any evidence that Dr. Richards has ever been cruel or malicious to patients in his care?
No.
Lastly, Professor, in spite of his television appearances and his responsibilities as superintendent of Bosdale Hospital, To your knowledge, has Dr. Richards continued to publish a quantity of original research material?
I don't keep track of the extent of Dr. Richards' research.
But he has found time to publish research findings, has he not?
Yes.
Any further questions?
Professor, you've seen Sarah Abbs on several occasions for a total period of 6 or 7 hours, have you not?
Yes.
Now, was that sufficient time, in your opinion, to form a clear judgment of her condition?
Yes.
You consider her to be subnormal, but teachable.
I do.
Capable of living within reason a more or less normal life inside the community.
Yes.
Now, regarding your differences with Dr. Richards, now these arise from a basic clash of opinions, do they not?
They do.
Now, would you briefly define to the court these differences, Professor?
Well, Dr. Richards' views, however supposedly benevolent, are in essence authoritarian. By genetic control, sterilization, etc., he wants to stop subnormals from reproducing. His ideas are not, in my opinion, borne out by present scientific knowledge.
Thank you, Professor. I have no further questions, my lord.
The witness may stand down.
Thank you.
My last witness is the plaintiff herself, Sarah Abbs.
What is your religion?
I don't go to church much.
When you do, which church do you go to?
The one in the hospital.
It's Church of England, my lord.
Thank you, Doctor.
Take the book in your right hand and read the words on the card.
She cannot read.
Sarah, the clerk will read out the words on the card. Will you repeat them after him?
Yes.
I swear by Almighty God
I swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
You understand what it means, Sarah?
It means I got to tell the truth.
Yes, it means you must answer the questions truthfully that these two gentlemen put to you.
Yeah, I know.
Now, I don't want you to be frightened or nervous, Sarah.
Oh, there's no need to be if I tell the truth.
No, indeed. Very well, Mr. Dean.
My lord. You are Sarah Abbs,
Yes.
and you are present, residing, living at Bosdale Hospital.
In the hospital, yes.
Sarah, do you want to marry Michael Penny?
Yes, please.
You known Michael a long time?
Oh, ever so long.
It's true, Sarah, that a little while ago you were going to have a baby, isn't it?
Yes.
Were you happy about this?
Oh, yes. But I got to get married first. It's not right otherwise.
But you wanted the baby?
Yes.
Was Michael Penny the father?
Michael, yes.
Do you love Michael?
Yes.
Why didn't you get married?
Why?
Yes.
Dr. Richards.
He refused to give you permission. Dr. Richards wouldn't let you get married.
No.
Did he say why?
He said it wasn't right.
Yes, Dr. Richards said it wasn't right for you to get married, but did he say why, Sarah?
He just said, it's not right, Sarah, you mustn't. But I didn't see why not.
When you had the abortion, the operation,
Killed my baby.
did Dr. Richards ask you if you wanted your baby killed?
He said I had to have an operation.
Did he tell you that this operation would kill your baby?
He said, you can't have the baby, Sarah, I must take it away.
Did you give him permission to perform this operation?
He said it had to be done.
But did he ask you if you minded having the operation?
I didn't like the operation.
No, but did Dr. Richards ask you if you would allow him to kill your baby?
No, no one asked. They don't ask you in hospital.
What did Michael Penny say when you had the operation, Sarah?
He said it was wrong.
Do you think it was?
Well, it was my baby, mine. They shouldn't have done it. It was mine. Now I haven't got a baby.
Did Dr. Richards say why he did the operation?
He said I might have hurt it, but I wouldn't have done. He said I might have hurt it not meaning to, but I wasn't honest.
What kind of work do you do, Sarah?
Cleaning, dusting, washing up, things like that. And I do shopping.
You take money to the shops, do you? You buy things?
Yeah, I have a list and I take the money. I like shopping because the people in the shops are nice.
Can you cook?
Yes,
What sort of things can you cook, Sarah?
bacon and eggs and fish, things like that.
If you had a house of your own, would you be able to keep it clean?
Yes, I know how to do housework.
And if you had a baby of your own, Sarah, would you be able to look after it?
Oh, yes, if it was really mine.
And you wouldn't let it fall down and hurt itself?
No,
Or get dirty? Or ill?
no.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah, this is the other gentleman who is going to ask you questions.
Yes, I know.
Sarah, how long have you been in Bosdale Hospital?
A long time.
You know Dr. Richards well?
Yes,
You've seen him a lot of times.
yes.
Is he nice to you?
Sometimes he makes jokes, funny jokes. We like it when Dr. Richards comes round.
Has he ever been unkind to you?
About my baby.
Apart from that,
It was my baby.
had he ever been unkind to you before that?
Before. Hello, Doctor.
Sarah, you must not talk to people in the court.
Oh, sorry.
Sarah, apart from the baby, can you remember when Dr. Richards was unkind to you?
No.
Are you unhappy at the hospital?
No. But I'd rather be with Michael married.
Yes, I'm sure you would. But none of the nurses or the doctors is unkind to you in the hospital.
No.
When you and Michael first wanted to get married, did you both go to see Dr. Richards?
Michael did.
And Dr. Richards said no.
That's right.
And what happened after that?
And my mum.
Your mother?
Mum said no too.
Yes, so she did. But what happened afterwards? Did you and Michael talk about ways of persuading Dr. Richards to let you marry?
It said no.
Was it Michael's idea that you had a baby?
My lord, my learned friend is attempting to trick the witness into a damaging admission. Well, normally this wouldn't matter, but under the circumstances...
I agree, Mr. Dealey.
My lord, with respect, my question is relevant to the case and should be answered.
Yes, Mr. Lotterby. Sarah, now I want you to answer this truthfully.
Yes.
Did you and Michael Penny decide to have a baby so that then Dr. Richards and your mother would allow you to marry?
But we wanted to get married.
Yes, I know that, Sarah, but that wasn't my question, was it?
No.
No. Now, did you and Michael think that if you had a baby, you would be able to get married?
Yes.
A moment. Sarah, did you and Michael Penny deliberately plan to have a baby so that you could get married?
No, I wouldn't do a thing like that.
Are you certain?
Yes, that's like telling lies. And it's wrong to tell lies.
Yes, indeed it is. Very well, continue, Mr. Lotterby.
Thank you, my lord. Sarah, before Dr. Richards did the operation, you understand what I mean? Before he did the operation, did he ask you to sign a piece of paper?
She can't write.
Not even her name.
Oh, she can sign her name more or less, my lord.
Did you sign a piece of paper, Sarah? Did Dr. Richards talk to you about the operation?
He said it had to be done.
Or didn't he tell you what it was for?
It was for my baby.
Anna, stop this.
Dr. Richards.
I apologize for my client,
But
my
can't
lord.
we leave her alone, my lord? I mean, must she be cross-examined over and over again on the same thing?
Dr. Richards, kindly permit me to handle the case.
For
as I
heaven's
think
sake, what do you
fit.
want to do to
Dr.
the girl?
Richards.
I'm sorry, my lord.
Now, Dr. Richards, I will tolerate no more disturbances like this. If it happens again, I'm afraid you will have to leave the court.
I understand.
Now, if the defendants wish to consult with counsel, I will have a recess.
That's not necessary, my lord, as far as the management committee is concerned.
Very well. Now, Sarah, do you feel all right? Are you ready to go out? Proceed, Mr. Lottie.
Sarah, whose idea was it to start this trial? Was it yours?
My lord.
You promised to tell the truth, Sarah.
My lord, that question is irrelevant and unethical.
No, it was Michael and my mum and a man from the newspaper.
No further questions, my lord.
The plaintiff would have appeared to have answered the question, Mr. Dealey.
My lord. Sarah, do you want to make a lot of money out of Dr. Richards in the hospital?
No.
Are you honest about money?
Yes.
And have you told the truth in this court today?
Oh, yes.
Sarah, if you could have anything in the world that you wanted, anything at all, what would it be?
A home with Michael and my baby.
Thank you, Sarah. No further questions. That is the case for the plaintiff, my lord.
You can go back to your seat now, Sarah.
What are you going to do now?
Well, now we listen to Dr. Richards.
Oh.
What is your religion?
I'm an atheist.
Take the card in your right hand and read it aloud.
I do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Dr. Paul Anthony Richards, Superintendent of Bosdale Hospital.
I am.
You are a Doctor of Medicine, a psychiatrist with degrees from London and Princeton University.
Yes.
You are author of several books on mental subnormality and a well-known broadcaster on medical subjects.
Yes.
Doctor, did you perform an abortion on Sarah Abbs?
I did.
Would you look at this document, Exhibit 1? Is this the consent form signed by Mrs. Havelock?
It is.
Doctor, did you also obtain Sarah's consent?
Her verbal consent, yes. I also obtained the signature of Dr. Jameson, the consultant gynecologist at Bosdale Hospital, agreeing to the abortion.
Did Dr. Jameson, in fact, assist you with this operation?
Yes, he did.
And why was that?
He has more specialist knowledge than myself.
Is Dr. Jameson present in court?
I know, my lord, he is at present supervising a population program in Bangladesh. I have a signed affidavit from him, Exhibit 2, stating that it was a routine termination with no complications. It's an agreed document, my lord.
Very well.
Doctor, would you please tell the court why you decided to terminate Sarah's pregnancy?
For the sake of Sarah and her baby.
Would you explain, please?
Well, in my opinion, Sarah is incapable of a normal married life and quite incapable of bringing up a child.
On what do you base your opinions, Dr. Richards?
7 years' experience of Sarah's case.
Why do you think Sarah is incapable of bringing up a child?
Because Sarah, like many defectives, has not only a physical defect of the brain, she is also the victim of a psychiatric illness.
Do you mean that Sarah Abbs is insane?
No, my lord. In my opinion, she's a schizophrenic. When she first came to Bosdale Hospital about 7 years ago, she could barely talk, and she was violent. I could not in conscience permit her to become a mother. I'm sorry, Sarah.
The case of Abbs against Richards will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court.
Walk around the wards of any hospital for the mentally handicapped and you will see our mistakes. Human beings who, for one reason or another, are hopelessly and incurably handicapped. We cannot cure them. And we must not. We cannot go on manufacturing human misery on the scale we have done in the past. Misery that could so easily be avoided. And with certain people, we can tell that the chances of producing a mentally handicapped child are high. These people should not be permitted to marry. Some may accuse me of wanting to take away from them a natural right, a natural freedom, if you like. But it is a freedom to create a maimed human being. No one has the right to be that free.
This is the last day of the trial in Fulchester Crown Court. The defendant is Dr. Paul Richards, the controversial expert on mental deficiency. The plaintiff is Sarah Abbs, who is suing Dr. Richards and the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee on the grounds that they wrongfully and without her consent performed an abortion upon her.
Dr. Richards, you said that Sarah Abbs was violent.
Yes, my lord.
Yet there is no evidence to substantiate this view.
With respect, my lord, there is.
Yes, but both Mr. Penny and Professor Seagrave spoke of their gentleness.
Well, they didn't see her when she was first admitted to Bosdale Hospital. I did.
What was her condition, Doctor?
No, she was about 12 years old. She was unkempt, uncared for, inadequately toilet trained. She was rather badly bruised. She could verbalize, but she relied mostly on screams and grunts to get what she wanted.
Was this due to her mental disability?
Some of it, yes, but she was also emotionally and mentally disturbed.
You diagnosed her as a schizophrenic?
Provisionally, yes. Her home life was unstable. Her father died when she was small, and her mother's attitude towards her varied from at best a kind of guilty embarrassment to at worst sheer callous indifference.
Is it unusual, in your experience, for someone who is subnormal to suffer both physical and psychiatric problems?
No, not at all. Many incurable diseases carry with them psychiatric problems.
In the case of Sarah Abbs, what particular evidence was there of violence?
No, her conduct. She was aggressive. She threw things. She bit other children.
How long did this behavior continue?
Oh, for about a year.
And then she improved?
Yes, for the past 4 or 5 years, she's been very much as you see her today. Quiet, gentle, kind. I don't disagree with the other witnesses' descriptions of Sarah. It's just that I have a 7-year perspective. They do not.
When Sarah was first admitted to Bosdale Hospital, she was admitted, was she not, on an informal basis?
That's correct.
In other words, she was not committed to the hospital under a court order or any other legal device?
No.
When Michael Penny first approached you for permission to marry Sarah, you refused.
I did.
Now, was your refusal based purely on medical and psychiatric grounds?
Yes.
How did you first learn of Sarah's pregnancy?
From the matron at the hostel where Sarah was living.
The plaintiff was living in a hostel?
Yes, my lord. Well, perhaps I should explain. We have a house in the hospital grounds. We use this as a hostel to house high-grade defectives who go out to work. It's quite common procedure these days in many hospitals for the subnormal.
When Sarah's pregnancy was established, did Michael Penny come to see you again?
Yes, and this time he said that I just couldn't refuse to allow he and Sarah to marry. But I did.
Your refusal, it wasn't personal, was it?
Oh, good heavens, no.
You have no personal objections to Michael Penny?
Well, none at all. Quite the reverse, in fact. He seems a very pleasant, hard-working young man. I'd have no objection to his marrying my own daughter.
Mrs. Havelock, Sarah's mother, says that you obtained her signature on a consent form for her daughter's abortion without explaining to her the nature of the document she was signing.
Well, she is mistaken. In my opinion, people don't usually sign forms unless they have some idea of what they're signing for.
Sarah has said in evidence that you didn't ask her permission to perform the abortion.
Well, she is mistaken.
Did you formally ask for and obtain Sarah's verbal consent?
Yes, at least I thought I had.
What do you mean, Dr. Richards?
Well, I explained the situation to Sarah, my lord. I gave her my reasons as to why she must be aborted. She said yes, and I thought she had understood. Apparently, she had not. It's one of the problems one always has in dealing with the subnormal, particularly someone like Sarah.
Why particularly Sarah?
Because she is a socially acceptable defective. And because she can verbalize well for someone of her IQ, one tends to forget how limited her understanding is.
Thank you, Doctor. No further questions.
Dr. Richards, when you affirmed, you said you were an atheist, did you not?
That's correct.
How would you define an atheist?
Or someone that does not believe in a God.
Doesn't that also imply someone who doesn't believe in the sanctity of human life?
I wouldn't have said so.
Because of your television appearances and your articles, your views on many subjects are widely known. Your politics, for example. You're a communist, are you not?
A Marxist.
My lord, this is absurd. How could the defendant's political views have any bearing on a case like this?
I'll withdraw the question, my lord. Dr. Richards, you said in evidence, did you not, and I quote, "I'd have no objections to Michael Penny marrying my own daughter."
Yes.
Do you have a daughter, Dr. Richards?
Well, no.
Do you have any children, in fact?
No.
So it was rather a hollow recommendation, was it not? Doctor, in one of your articles, you give us your reason for your lifelong interest in mental subnormality, the case of your half-sister.
Lord, my client is charged. My client is on trial for his conduct, not for that of his family.
My lord, I submit that Dr. Richards' motivation is of the greatest importance in this case.
I think the defendant should answer the question.
Very well, my lord.
Doctor, it is true, is it not, that your half-sister died in a home for the mentally subnormal?
Yes.
How old was she when she died?
14.
How old were you at the time?
I was 9.
And your half-sister was subnormal?
Yes.
Severely subnormal?
Yes, she was bedridden. She was incontinent, speechless. Well, she was a vegetable.
And you visited her regularly in hospital, did you?
Yes, my mother and I did. My father was too ashamed.
You say in your article that her subnormality was due to a genetic defect.
Yes.
Is that why you have no children, Doctor?
Yes, there is a danger that I could pass on the recessive gene through my children to future generations. I don't consider this an acceptable risk.
Yeah, this would explain, would it not, Doctor, what has been called your obsessive preoccupation with the subject?
Well, I would put it rather differently.
How would you put it, Doctor?
Well, I have been fortunate enough to gain the knowledge to control my heredity. And since everyone cannot specialize in mental subnormality and society must have some way to control its own future, I see no alternative to strict genetic control.
The Nazis attempted the same thing, did they not?
No, sir. The Nazis killed mental defectives. They made no real attempt to reduce the incidence of subnormality.
I put it to you, Doctor, that in the case of Sarah Abbs, your personal and very understandable obsession with this subject has blinded your judgment.
No, sir.
Yet it's true, is it not, that even within your own profession your views are regarded as, well, controversial, to put it no more strongly than that?
Well, many doctors are unwilling to follow the logic of necessity.
But is this logic not in itself defective?
What do you mean?
Well, is it not an accepted medical fact, Doctor, that a large percentage of subnormals are infertile and could not produce offspring anyway?
Yeah, that's perfectly true, but many do reproduce. Sarah, for example.
And is it not also true that many types of subnormality are not inheritable?
Yes.
Is it not true that the odds against, say, a Mongol giving birth to another Mongol are statistically enormous?
Yes, that's quite correct, but the risk is still twice as great as it would be with a normal parent.
When you performed this abortion on Sarah, did you examine the fetus?
I did.
And did this fetus show any abnormalities?
No.
How many weeks pregnant was Sarah at the time?
About 9 weeks.
Could you have told very much from a 9-week-old fetus?
Not very much.
So it's possible, is it not, Doctor, that you have taken the life of a perfectly normal child?
Yes, it is possible.
Of potentially normal IQ?
Perhaps, but who is to say?
Surely, Doctor, you're the expert.
I'm afraid it's not as simple as that.
Could you explain, Doctor?
Well, mental subnormality, my lord, is a result of many factors. Nature and nurture, as the textbooks put it. That is to say, hereditary and physical influences on the one hand, environmental factors on the other. Now, I aborted Sarah Abbs not just for genetic reasons, though with her heredity she might well have produced a defective child. Now, I aborted her because, in my opinion, she is quite incapable of bringing up any child.
On what do you base that opinion, Doctor?
On fact, my lord.
Fact which is not at present clear to me.
Well, ask any mother, my lord. I mean, bringing up a baby is a complex and full-time job. Babies have illnesses, their sleep patterns differ from their parents, they teethe, they have to be toilet-trained, taught the rudiments of social behavior, etc. Sometimes it's hard enough for a normal mother to cope. How would Sarah manage?
Doctor, are all people of a low IQ put into hospitals?
No, of course not.
It is true, is it not, that many people of a low IQ are socially acceptable, perfectly respectable people who bring up families quite adequately?
Well, it depends what you mean by a low IQ.
Well, below 100, that's normal, is it not?
Yes, but Sarah has an IQ of 49.
Professor Seagrave tested her and found it to be 52.
Yes, but as the professor pointed out, 3 points in an IQ test is neither here nor there.
What about Michael Penny's IQ?
I don't know. I've never tested it.
You're evading the question, Doctor.
Well, let us say I'm prepared to accept that Michael Penny's IQ is higher than 49.
Higher than 52?
Very well, higher than 52.
Doctor, would you agree that marriage is a partnership?
Yes.
Well, with Michael Penny, whom you've admitted is of a higher IQ than the plaintiff, are you saying that they could not have brought up a child between them?
Yes, but Michael Penny has to earn a living. He wouldn't be there all the time. Sarah would be left to cope with circumstances which she's simply not equipped to cope with.
That is an assumption, Doctor.
It's common sense, sir. And what would happen when they produced other children?
But they might not produce any more children.
Well, who's making the assumptions now?
So if I understand you correctly, Doctor, you are saying that Sarah Abbs would have made a bad mother?
No, an inadequate mother.
Are you familiar with the recent report on inadequate mothers compiled by the Salvation Army?
Yes.
Well, the figures showed, do they not, that inadequate mothers of subnormal IQ were more easily trainable in the craft of motherhood than those women of normal or even high IQ.
Yes.
Surely it follows from this, does it not, Doctor, that Sarah Abbs is trainable in the craft of motherhood?
Trainable, yes, but I contend that with her low IQ and her mental and physical disabilities, she's quite unable to cope with married life and motherhood.
You seem determined to have it both ways, Doctor.
Oh, good God, can't you get it into your head? Sarah is a cripple, an intellectual, emotional, and mental cripple. But it's not her fault. But would you like to have on your conscience the fact that you left her to bring up a baby?
It's not my conscience that's on trial here, Doctor. It's yours. You said, did you not, that you obtained Sarah's verbal consent to this abortion?
Yes.
How long have you been dealing with the mentally subnormal?
About 20 years.
Have you had much difficulty in the past in making people of an IQ of around 50 understand you?
It depends what you want to explain.
Well, as the jury will have seen, my learned friend and I found remarkably few problems in getting Sarah to understand our questions. Doctor, I put it to you that you had no intention of allowing Sarah to refuse this abortion.
That's not true.
And I put it to you that you did not ask for her permission. And I also put it to you that you told her that it was necessary for you to operate, which is quite a different thing.
I asked Sarah.
But did you give her an opportunity to refuse?
Yes, I thought I had.
And what about her mother? Mrs. Havelock said that she didn't even know what she was signing.
She did. She can read anyway, can't she?
Well, not very well, it seems.
Well, she wouldn't sign something she didn't understand. People don't.
But they do, Doctor. That's how we lawyers make a living.
Well, my conscience is clear.
Is it, Doctor? Or have you destroyed a child's life? And perhaps a woman's chance of happiness, all for the sake of some dubious theory that you happen to hold dear?
Well, what would you have me do, sir?
The court is not concerned with my opinions, Doctor.
Well, you're lucky. I was faced with a choice. I had to make a decision, either to let Sarah have her baby or to terminate the pregnancy. And it would have been easy, believe me, so easy to have done nothing, to wash my hands of the whole thing. Then perhaps in 10 or 12 years' time, or maybe sooner, Sarah might have had to come back to the hospital with her own child, just as she was once brought there herself.
But that might never have happened, Doctor.
Perhaps, but I'm not concerned with neat legal possibilities. I was responsible for a baby, another human being.
I'm sure the court is fully aware of that fact, Doctor.
Well, perhaps the court might like to consider this. Sarah is gentle and even good with children, other people's children. But every night she comes home to our hostel, her responsibilities are nil. But with children of her own, she would have them with her all the time. They would be her responsibility. And children can be fretful, they can be irritable. Now, what would happen if Sarah was tired and worried and irritable herself, with 2 or maybe 3 small children at her heels?
Well, we know what your solution was, Doctor.
Yes. I wish I could be sure it was the right one.
Do you mean you have doubts?
Oh, for heaven's sake, of course I have.
No further questions, my lord.
Dr. Richards, you have been connected with the problems of subnormality for 20 years, have you not?
Yes.
Now, during that time, has there ever been, to your knowledge, any complaint about your professional conduct?
No, sir.
When you performed the abortion on Sarah Abbs, what was your prime consideration?
Well, there were 2.
Now, what were they?
Well, the health and welfare of the patient, Sarah Abbs, and the health and welfare of her baby.
Was your decision influenced in any way by your political or religious views or lack of them?
No.
If you were faced with the same problem again, Doctor, would you make the same decision?
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. No further questions, my lord.
You may stand down, Doctor.
You are Sir Stanley Freeman of Swinthorpe Manor, Grimsdyke, near Fulchester.
I am.
You are chairman of the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee.
I am.
You were co-defendant in this case with Dr. Richards.
Yes, sir.
Sir Stanley, how long has Dr. Richards been superintendent of Bosdale Hospital?
9 years.
Has there ever been any complaint about his conduct prior to this?
No, sir.
Does Dr. Richards retain the complete confidence of the management committee?
He does indeed, sir.
Sir Stanley, until the start of this legal action, had you, to your knowledge, ever had any dealings with Sarah Abbs, Mrs. Havelock, or Michael Penny?
No, sir.
Thank you, Sir Stanley. No further questions.
Sir Stanley, you've known Dr. Richards for 9 years.
Yes?
How would you describe him?
Describe him?
Well, is he a man of principle?
Yes.
A dedicated man? Determined?
Yes, very determined.
Is he given to changing his mind?
No, when Dr. Richards makes up his mind, he's usually quite,
Intransigent?
firm.
Be true to say, Sir Stanley, that once Dr. Richards gets a bee in his bonnet about something, he doesn't let it go in a hurry.
I don't understand what you mean.
When Dr. Richards applied for the job of superintendent of Bosdale Hospital, had his career as a television personality and broadcaster begun?
No, I think that began 4 years ago.
So when the management committee appointed Dr. Richards, they had no idea of his political or ethical beliefs.
No.
And you didn't question him on these at the time.
I don't recall doing so.
You were therefore unaware that he was an atheist, a Marxist, and a holder of some, well, to put it kindly, rather bizarre views on the control of mental disability in the community.
He was not questioned about his religion or his politics.
In your opinion, Sir Stanley, if your committee had known of Dr. Richards' beliefs at the time, would he have got the job?
My lord, I don't see how the defendant could possibly answer that question.
I quite agree.
Well, I withdraw the question, my lord. No further questions.
That concludes the case of the defense, my lord.
Very well, when you're ready, you may make your final address to the jury.
My lord, members of the jury, I'm sure we all of us sympathise with the plight of this young girl who is mentally subnormal. We all of us sympathise, but I wonder how many of us would have the strength, the patience, the understanding, the knowledge to take on the responsibility for her well-being. Well, certainly not her mother, who, because she couldn't look after her, placed Sarah in Bosdale Hospital and hasn't seen her more than 5 times in the past 2 years. However, there is one person here who doesn't stop at sympathy, who has taught and lovingly cared for Sarah for 7 years until she's emerged from a violent, screaming schizophrenic who could barely talk except in grunts to the girl you've come to know in this courtroom. And it is this dedicated man, Dr. Paul Richards, who is on trial and whose integrity is being placed in doubt. Now, Dr. Richards has testified that he believed the abortion was necessary and that Sarah and her mother had given their consent. And, ladies and gentlemen, can there be any doubt that Dr. Richards' uppermost thought was what was best for Sarah, the patient in his care? Members of the jury, I ask you to find for Dr. Richards and the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee.
My lord. Members of the jury, this is a particularly painful and tragic case, but it has far-reaching implications for us all. The plaintiff is a young woman of subnormal intelligence, but as I think you will agree, of great gentleness and sweetness of disposition. Her case against Dr. Richards and the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee is simple. Last year, she became pregnant by her childhood sweetheart, Michael Penny, who asked to marry her. The superintendent of Bosdale Hospital persuaded the plaintiff's mother to refuse permission for this marriage. He then alleges that he obtained the written consent of Mrs. Havelock to perform an abortion on her daughter. He also alleges that he obtained Sarah's verbal consent for this operation. But the plaintiff denies this, and Mrs. Havelock says that it was not in fact made clear to her what it was that she was signing. Now, members of the jury, you have heard 2 expert witnesses give conflicting views on the treatment of people such as Sarah Abbs. Indeed, it may have surprised you how many conflicting views there are on this subject. But let us consider the views of the defendant, Dr. Richards.
Dr. Richards believes that society must exercise strict genetic control in order to reduce the incidence of mental disability. Now, this in effect means that we give to one man the right to decide who is to be permitted to have children and who is not. Now, is it possible, members of the jury, that by allowing Dr. Richards to pursue his policy of genetic control, we are placing too great a burden on one man? So who do we agree with? Professor Seagrave with his liberal views of the rights of subnormals, or Dr. Richards with his authoritarian philosophy? Now, I won't mince words, members of the jury. Sarah Abbs's baby was killed by the defendant without her consent and against her interests. Members of the jury, you must award Sarah Abbs heavy damages for assault and battery against Dr. Richards and the Bosdale Hospital Management Committee.
Now, members of the jury, my duty is not to summarize counsel's arguments, but to clarify matters of law. The plaintiff has brought a charge of assault and battery against the defendant, and in this case, the assault is abortion. Now, abortion, as you know, is now a legal operation under the terms of the Abortion Act of 1967. Now, according to this act, pregnancy may be terminated if there is a substantial risk that if a child were born, it would suffer from such physical or mental abnormalities as to be seriously handicapped, or might be seriously handicapped by the mother's inability to bring up the child. Now, you must decide whether this was so in Sarah's case. Now, the Abortion Act further states that the consent of the person to be operated on must be obtained. Now, you've seen the plaintiff in the witness box, and you will no doubt have formed your own opinion about her, but you must not be swayed by your natural sympathy for her predicament. You must decide whether or not Dr. Richards genuinely believed that she had given her consent for this operation to be performed upon her, a consent without duress, and in the light of a clear understanding of her position. Now, these questions are for you, and for you only, to decide. Now, if you do find for the plaintiff, you will also have to assess a figure for damages, and you will be asked about that when you return. Now, members of the jury, will you please retire to consider your verdict?
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please
The jury
rise?
have been out for nearly 4
Answer
hours,
this question,
and the
yes
judge
or
has
no.
advised
Have you
them
reached
that they
a
may
verdict
return a
on which you're all
majority
agreed?
verdict.
No. Have you reached a majority verdict?
Yes, by a majority of 10 to 2.
And do you find for the plaintiff or for the defendants?
For the defendant.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir.
All stand.
Next week, a chance for you to join another jury in assessing the facts when our cameras return to watch another leading case in the Crown Court.